Hello friends and welcome back to another episode. So in this episode I wanted to show you around the F3, Nikon F3. It was produced from 1980 to 2001 time frame. So it was in production about 21 years. So I'll walk you around the camera here. Let's start in the front. We have the self-timer LED, depth of field preview. This is the mirror lockup. And this was kind of novel for its day. This was an AE lock, right? Auto exposure lock. This is a backup in case the battery fails. You can still fire the shutter. If you use this lever here, the shutter will fire at 1/60, which is marked here in red is the kind of like, think of it as like the emergency shutter. So if all else fails, the camera will still fire at 1/60. This is the lens release, PC sync cable, which was nowadays people use generally pocket wizards or some type of wireless transmitter in the hot shoe, but here you can just use the old-fashioned sync cable, run it to you have 25 foot cable and you run it to your strobe. Let's go to the top of the camera. This is the film rewind. This is to unlock the back of the camera. This is to unlock the exposure compensation. This is the exposure compensation range here. I have it set to 0. Film plane indicator. This is your shutter selector. This is the lock. Shutter release. This is the film advance lever. This is for self timer. This is to, if you push it over to the red, you engage the self timer. If you can see let me get my focus back. This is for the self timer on. If you cover the red, you turn it off. This is the power button for the camera. So no red is exposed. That means the camera's kind of off. And you turn it, and now the camera is powered on. This is for multiple exposures. How many exposures you've taken. Film counter window. So we've covered the front and the top. This is obviously it's got a beautiful viewfinder. This is the HP, the high point, and this is kind of like the modern DSLRs, like full frame. They have this. That's what kind of differentiates full frame from APS-C in the modern sense with digital sensors. But back in the day of film, you had smaller viewfinders, like on the FE2 and FM2 had small viewfinders, but the F3, this was the Pro version, and it had the large viewfinder, which even for me wearing eyeglasses, it's incredibly easy to find, to look through and frame your subject. This is the film reminder slot. This is my next roll. I'm going out and I'm going to use this. This expired in 2002, but I'm going to go out and shoot it. It's a Elite Chrome 400, and it even tells you how many exposures, so you know when you're near the end of your roll. On the bottom, some of these are for the motor drive, right? This, and this are for the motor drive. This is the battery tripod socket, and this is what you push in to rewind your film. And this is I'll show you here, this lens. This is a beautiful lens. This is the 35 1.4. They called it a press lens because this is generally what the press used to go out and photograph. Look, if you worked for a newspaper or whatever, the 35 1.4 was a pro lens, and people did pro work with the 35 1.4. I also have the 50 1.4 and the 28 f2, which are all three considered pro lenses. They really produce excellent results because they're the better glass and stuff. So, let me show you on this here too. So this is another thing that differentiates. So the max shutter on this camera is 2000. Now the earlier FE, made around the same time frame. The max was 1/1000. The F3 is 1/2000. Then if you went to the FM2 and FE2, there was one more. It was 1/4000. But this is still plenty. 1/2000 is it's plenty fast for a shutter speed. And so, and this, I forgot to show you this. I think I did. This is the curtain. Right, you can see I'll do it real slowly. So this is the blackout light from entering. Like if you have long exposures at night or whatever, you want to keep any ambient out, you can actually put the camera in bulb. Then you close this to prevent any ambient from leaking into the camera. The forte for this camera is the is the wonderful Film Advance. I've never before, and it's actually known for this. The Film Advance is just so smooth. Now there's no film in here, so it's not under load. But even when there's film in there, this Film Advance is just incredibly. It's like on ball bearings of like NASA grade ball bearings, you know. But that's about it, I think, for showing you the actual camera. So again, this is your. So again, it's a fully manual camera. I shouldn't say it's fully manual. You can put it in automatic mode, but I'm just saying I kind of generally use it. Sometimes I put it in automatic, and sometimes I just use it like if you're in a sunny 16. Let me get my focus. Sunny 16 if you're outside. You know, then, you know, 1/125, 16 if you have 100 speed film, and if not, you use reciprocity or the algebra of photography, and you do all your tweaking, right? If you're going to take away from one, you add to the other. So if I were to, right, for people who are new to manual photography, if I close the shutter, then I got to open the aperture to get a similar exposure, right? So if I decrease the shutter by a stop, then I have to open the aperture by a stop, and so forth and so on. And I don't want to go too much into that. I'm just saying, for people who are new, if they've never had any exposure to manual photography, that's how you did it. You just reciprocity. Okay, now I'm going to roll. I'll just go ahead and I'll roll the images in.